Good evening. Good to see everyone out tonight. Glad that you're here. Just so excited that we're going to, like Harry's going to be leading us in worship, and got Ann and Vitala here. And excited about they're going to be just sharing with us what they're doing in the Ukraine, or what God's doing through them in the Ukraine. And so I know it's going to be a good service. In ways of announcement, don't forget senior adults. We do have a Bible study and luncheon at 11 o'clock on Tuesday. This will be the last one for the summer. We won't meet again until September. So make sure you come out. It's always a good study in the book of Psalms, and then we'll eat a meal together. But it's just, so make sure you come out for that. And then we got refit class on Tuesday and Thursday. Wednesday, EBC Kids and Student Ministry. And then Lee will be talking once again on church and government. I think he's going to finish that up this week. And so just be praying for him for Wednesday. Friday is the men's retreat. Just be praying for the men's going up to Fort Bluff. And then we got Justice Center at 6 o'clock. And ladies, did you all have a good trip this week? Yay, amen. So wonderful. It's good having you all back. It was kind of noisy without them. Kind of sad with there. I think we had 30-some ladies in Gatlinburg this weekend. So it's good to have you all back. And then next week, what's special about next Sunday morning, guys? Who can remember? Kevin. Yeah, the Gideon's going to be here. And Kevin, you spoke one other time at another church for the Gideons, right? Twice already. So, gosh, you're a whole pro. So this is going to be so awesome. Yeah, so we're excited about having Kevin here share with us the Gideon message. And then we'll have fellowship dinner after the service next Sunday morning. And then also during discipleship training, we're going to be doing Valley Fest again, painting faces. And they just kind of use the different colors to go through the plan of salvation as they paint the little children's faces. And so it's a wonderful ministry. And I know if you've ever done that, I know you've been blessed by that. And so child evangelism is going to be here and be training at 5 o'clock next week. And so if you've not been trained, come out to that. Or if you want to kind of refresher for that in May. All right? Any other announcements or anything? Okay, if not, I am turning it over to Harry. Harry, just lead us in worship.
Well, tonight is request night. And we have 10 songs that we're going to be singing through tonight, other than the one that Billy Wayne picked this morning, with Peace in the Valley. And there's no more peace in the valley, right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing every one of these songs, because some of you know them all. Let's stand up for this one, though. I think you know this one. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ, the royal master, leads against the foe. Enjoy the rest of the evening. All kinds of interesting songs we're going to be singing here tonight. Through my disappointment, strife, and discontentment, I cast cast my every care on the Lord. No matter what obsession, pain or deep depression, I'm standing on the solid rock. I'm standing on the rock of ages, safe from all the storm that rages, rich, but not from Satan's wages, standing on the solid rock. Even though he's going out, I don't feel alone now. With comfort came the Spirit of the Lord. Now with his word to guide me, from temptations hide me, I'm standing on the solid rock. I'm standing on the rock of ages, safe from all the storm that rages, rich, but not from Satan's wages, standing on the solid rock. Now I'm pressing onward, with each step being homeward, I'm trusting in my Savior day by day. And close is our relation, firm is its foundation, so on the solid rock I'll stay. I'm standing on the rock of ages, safe from all the storm that rages, rich, but not from Satan's rages, standing on the solid rock. Yes, we're standing on the solid rock because God sent his Son. God sent his Son. They called him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. And then one day I'll cross the river, I'll fight life's final war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory, and I'll know he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. And it is worth living just because he lives. And there's a interesting song that talks about how you grow and how you learn from the Bible. Jesus has a table spread where the saints of God are fed. He invites the chosen people, come and dine. He supplies every need. Oh, 'tis sweet to sup to Jesus all the time. Come and dine, his master calleth, come and dine. multitude, turn the water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. The disciples came to land, thus obeying Christ's command. For the Master called to them, come and dine. There they found their heart's desire, bread and fish upon the fire. Thus he satisfies the hungry every time. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. You may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who fed the multitude turned the water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. Soon the Lamb will take his bride to be ever at his side. All the host of women will assembled be. Oh, 'twill be a glorious sight, the saints in spotless white, and with Jesus they will feast eternally. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. You may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who spread the multitude, turned the water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. Now, 2 or 3 of the songs that you picked had good, strong bass solos. Now, who do we know in the congregation that has some bass solos? Ah, there we go. All right, we're going to have some help on the next couple of songs, all right?
Once was lost in sin.
You can sing along.
But Jesus took me in. And then a little light from heaven filled my soul. It made my heart in love and wrote my name above. And just a little talk with Jesus made me whole. Now let us
have a little talk with Jesus.
Let us
Tell him all about our trouble.
He will
Hear our faintest cry.
and He will
Answer by and by.
Now when you feel a little prayer will turn and you know a little fire is burning, you will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right.
Sometimes my path seems
drear without a ray of cheer. And then the clouds hugs the light of day.
the
Mist of sin may rise and hide the starry skies, but just a little talk with Jesus clears the way. Now let us
have a little talk with Jesus.
let us
Tell him all about our trouble.
He will
Hear our faintest cry.
and He will answer by and by. Now when you feel a little prayer will turn and you know a little fire is burning, you will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right.
I
May have doubts and fears, my eyes be filled with tears, and Jesus is a fire to watches day and night. I go to Him in prayer, He knows my every care, and just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Now let us
have a little talk with Jesus.
let us
Tell him all about our troubles.
He will
Hear our faintest cry.
and He will
Answer by and by.
now when you
Feel a little prayer wheel turning.
and you know that a fire is burning. You will have a little talk with Jesus, makes it right.
Oh, I thought you might enjoy that one. Here's another old one for us.
There's more out there than that. Clap next time.
I'll meet you
In the morning by the bright riverside, when all sorrow has drifted away. I'll be standing at the portals with the gates open wide, at the close of life's long dreary day. I'll meet you in the morning, meet you in the morning,
with a how do you do?
how do you do? Sit down by the river, sit down by the river,
And with
rapture
of
or
acquaintance
acquaintance renew.
you'll
Know me in the morning, know me in the morning,
by the
smile that I wear, smile that I wear. Meet you in the morning, meet you in the morning,
in the
city
that is
built for city built for square.
I will
Meet you in the morning, in the sweet by and by, and exchange the old cross for a crown. There will be no disappointment, and nobody shall die in the land where the sun goeth down.
I'll
Meet you in the morning, meet you in the morning.
with a
How do you do? How do you do? Sit down by the river, sit down by the river, rapture or acquaintance renew. Know me in the morning, know me in the morning, smile that I wear, smile that I wear. Meet you in the morning, meet you in the morning,
in the
city
that is
city built, the city built for square.
Okay, good. You know that one. All right. Now here's an old one, really old, probably the oldest we're going to sing tonight.
No tears in heaven, no sorrows given, all will be glory in that land. There'll be no sadness, all will be gladness, when we shall join that happy band. No tears in heaven fair, no tears up there, sorrow and pain will all have flown. No tears in heaven fair, no tears up there, no tears in heaven will be known. Glory is waiting, waiting up yonder, where we shall spend that endless day. There with our Savior we'll be forever, where no more sorrow can dismay. No tears in heaven fair, no tears up there, sorrow and pain will all have flown. No tears in heaven fair, no tears up there, no tears in heaven will be known. Some morning yonder we'll cease to ponder on things this life has brought to fear. All will be clearer, loved ones be dearer, in heaven where all will
wonderful thought? Thank you very much, Tommy. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, let's have some applause for Tommy. There's a land beyond the river that we call the sweet forever, and we only reach that shore by faith's decree. One by one we'll gain the portals, there to dwell with the immortals, when they ring those golden bells for you and me. Don't you hear the bells now ringing? Don't you hear the angels singing? 'Tis the glory, hallelujah, jubilee. When they far off sweet forever, just beyond the shining river, when they ring those golden bells for you and me, we shall know no sin or sorrow in that haven of tomorrow, when our bark shall sail beyond the silver sea. We shall only know the blessing of our Father's sweet caressing, when they ring those golden bells for you and me. Don't you hear the bells now ringing? To hear the angels singing, 'tis the glory, hallelujah, jubilee. In that far-off sweet forever, just beyond the shining river, when they ring those golden bells for you and me. And another favorite that we have about the wonderful memories that we have. Precious memories, unseen angels, sent from somewhere to my soul. How they linger ever near me, and the sacred past unfold. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. In the stillness of the midnight, echoes from the past I hear. Old time singing, gladness bringing from that lovely land somewhere. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. This is not an offertory. You can sing along now. Sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing a song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I worship your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I worship your holy name. I worship your holy name. Yes, I worship your holy name. Wonderful singing tonight. We're going to have to do this another time, right? Okay, good. Well, the rest of the evening will be taken up by my daughter and son-in-law, missionaries to Ukraine. I'm sure they'll have some time when you can ask them questions. They'll be glad to answer anything. How many years have you been in Ukraine? 14, 15 years. Of course, Vitaly is a Ukrainian national. He was born there. And this is their oldest, my oldest granddaughter from them, Miss Skyla. So it's all yours. Go to it.
Good evening, church. We are missionaries to Ukraine, and I am Ukrainian. My name is Vitaly. Okay, this is my wonderful wife, and you know her parents here. And this is Skyla, my wonderful daughter. We love God, and we want people to know God. And that's why we are in Ukraine, serving in Ukraine and beyond, in other countries around Ukraine. Well, we want to thank you, to give you special thanks for your participation in the gospel and participating in our ministry over there in Ukraine and helping Bogdan and Marika to do ministry from Ukraine in Tajikistan. And it's very wonderful. And, you know, especially I see that this church is praying for us. Do you know how I know that? Well, when I was meeting people, they just know my name. And the only thing to know my name, difficult Ukrainian name, is if you will be praying for that. So thank you so much. We feel like you are really supporting and participating in the gospel, and it's very wonderful. We have a wonderful time with you here tonight, and these songs are awesome. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. That's great. So, we would like to share with you ministry, what God is doing over there in Ukraine. And Ukraine is really a blessed country. Since 90s, communism fell apart. Russia kind of changed, so Ukraine stopped belonging to Russia anymore and got its independence in 90, and we got all the freedom. All different spiritual blessings start to flow into Ukraine. Preachers, Bibles, Bible projects, different Christian projects, and it's a big blessing was for us. I get saved in 94, and I can just, I experienced amazing wave of God's blessing, you know, like blessing on the blessing. I get opportunity to study with different Americans coming and teaching us. And, but what God is doing now in Ukraine, after blessing and blessing and blessing, He's starting to teach us that we are blessed in order to be blessing for other people. And not just in Ukraine, but in other countries beyond Ukraine. So, and we are blessed to be blessings for others. And one thing what we are doing, we are mobilizing missionaries in Ukraine to do ministry outside of Ukraine in different cultures. So I'm teaching this missionary mobilizing class with a group of teachers called Kairos, how they can serve Christ in other Russian-speaking countries and all kind of other different cultural contexts. Second thing what we are doing, we are printing Christian literature for Operation Christmas Child. This is the Bible, Ukrainian New Testament with children pictures, but Bible words. So it's not Bible stories, it's Bible. And we are printing other discipleship materials because Samaritan Spurs, Operation Christmas Child, they want to make sure that child, along with the shoebox, is receiving unique gospel opportunity and hears the gospel and gets access for the discipleship program called The Greatest Journey. You can see more on our display back there, that materials that we are printing in different countries, different languages, not just Ukraine, but all around Ukraine in in Central Asia and Eastern Europe. We will talk in a little bit about that in video presentation. And then also if you will have some questions, we can talk about that. But that's a year-round project. Half of the year we are training the volunteers in that countries to get ready for this Christmas season, so they can learn how to do discipleship program, how to use these materials, how to share shoe boxes with children to show children God's love in a tangible way. And on the other hand, third thing what we are doing, I'm a pastor of the church in Ukraine. And recently a couple was sent from our church as missionaries to Tajikistan that you probably know about them, Bogdan and Marika. And thank you for your participation in their ministry there. Okay, so let's see video. Can we turn off these lights, stage lights? And then we will talk more about what God is doing in Ukraine and countries around Ukraine. Thank you.
Hi, we are Sokols, missionaries in Ukraine. You know how the Bible is talking about planting seeds and having fruits. We would like to offer you a way to reach people in Eastern Europe and Central Asia with the gospel. We really want you to experience the blessing, joy, and eternal reward of being connected to national churches in these areas who are evangelizing their communities and the countries around them.
When we returned to Ukraine in 2014, the war with Russia was fresh, and it was shifting a lot of things in Ukraine. This personally affected our own ministries. Eventually, the Lord used the war to close down our rehabilitation ministry and open the doors for our involvement in international missions to the countries surrounding Ukraine. God used the rehabilitation ministry as a great segue for our own local church in Kiev to become more involved in international missions. Our little church of 50 members recently sent out our first missionary couple to Tajikistan. The mission of our mission agency, Titus International, is training nationals to reach their world. Vitaly is doing this in 3 main ways. First, he's on a team of teachers that teach Kairos, a course that mobilizes local churches and believers for international missions. Second, he's evangelizing surrounding countries by organizing national outreach teams and printing evangelistic literature in their languages. Third, he's serving as one of the pastors of our local church in Kiev.
Kairos is a course that focuses on training national missionaries to reach the world's least reached peoples. From Genesis to Revelation, we study God's heart for reaching the nations, and we learn how to cross cultural differences to share the gospel. We also encourage in short-term mission trips, like the trip I took in 2015 to reach out to the Khanty-Mansi ethnic group in the taiga of Russia. Here is what Bogdan, our missionary to Tajikistan, said about attending this course.
Хочу сказать, что когда я прошел этот курс, Господь по-новому открыл для меня миссию. Я просто смотрел своими глазами на миссию, много книг о миссионерах читал, и было свое понимание. Но пройдя курс Кайрос, я увидел, как Господь смотрит на мир, как Господь смотрит на миссию. И я понял, что миссия – это сердце Господа.
Vitaly is also helping national believers in various countries in Eastern Europe and Central Asia to hold evangelistic outreaches. This is a team in Georgia. He also helps arrange the printing of children's discipleship materials and New Testaments in the languages of these regions. We're very thankful that these last 4 years in Kiev, the church Vitaly helps to pastor has gotten stronger and more stable spiritually. Our church is full of young married couples, and this means that these young parents are busy with lots and lots of children. Several men are studying in Bible schools, and the church continues to regularly evangelize unsaved children through the Awana Club and summer and winter camps. On major holidays, we reach out to parents, relatives, and other unsaved people God brings across our paths. Lord willing, we'll soon be ordaining another pastor and our missionary.
We love being your hands, your feet, your voices, and your love in this part of the world. Thank you for partnering with us, that all the people of the earth might know His name.
My job is to tell you about Bogdan and Marika Petrov, that you supported them when they spent 1 year in Tajikistan. They had to raise money for that 1 year, and you all gave them $1,000. And that was their largest support gift. And they are back from Tajikistan now, raising money to go back again for 2 years. And I want to start by saying there was a time in my life when God kind of arrested me by the phrase in the Bible that says that your glory is over all the earth. And it was a time when the war was going on in Ukraine, and politics in America has been really ugly the last 4 years, and just a lot of things. And I was sitting there, and I was arrested by this phrase, and I was like, God, is it true that your glory, like I don't see your glory, but it must be true if you say that your glory is over it all and everywhere. And so will you please give me eyes to see it? And so he does, and I want to show you how God's glory is over all the earth in one story. Bogdan came to our church probably about 10 or 11 years ago through our Awana program. Our Awana program is held on Sunday afternoons, and it's extremely evangelistic. It's a lot of unsaved kids who attend, and then they end up staying in the church, and that's how Bogdan became a Christian. He grew up in our Awana program, and then his mother came to church, became a Christian, and his dad attends, but he hasn't repented yet. And Bogdan became then a Awana leader, very busy with all the kids. Marika was one of the pastor's 10 children. And Marika was always just very busy in the Awana program as a leader, and so they began working together, doing a lot of children's outreach. The Awana doesn't just do Sunday. They do children's camps in the summers, all different villages, so they're pretty busy and do a lot of evangelism. And as my children, Skyla and Vika, my 2 oldest daughters, were growing up, I asked Marika to be their babysitter. So she babysat Skyla and Vika since they were very little. And then when Skyla started reading her Bible more regularly, I asked Marika to disciple her. So they started meeting every week, and Marika was teaching her how to have a prayer journal and how to read her Bible every day. And when God calls missionaries, he usually calls the busiest people, and that's what he did. The church was a little panicked when Bogdan and Marika, they took the Kairos course that Vitaly helps to teach, and then she went on a trip to Egypt and Georgia, and he went on short-term, like 1 week or 2 weeks, to Kyrgyzstan. And the Lord was putting this on their hearts. And so then the Lord, Vitaly married them, and they went to Tajikistan. Before they left for Tajikistan, the KGB was becoming very active in that country. And the town where they were supposed to go and serve, the Christians there said, you shouldn't go there. Just come to the main town, and then we'll just start finding where you should go that would be safe, that they won't hunt you. So they found a small town for them to work in. Tajikistan is a country of women and children because men have to leave to work. So they had a wonderful ministry with women and children. You saw them with a lot of children, and the children just loved them. And of course, they'd been doing children's ministry in our church for forever, so they knew exactly what to do. And those children just said, oh, we want to treat our wife like you treat your wife, and we want to treat our kids the way you treat us, because they'd never seen it. It's not any Christian values in this country of love and kindness. So it was a huge impact on the lives of those children. A woman got saved, and Marika was discipling her. And I am about to close, but I wanted to tell one other story. Marika's older sister back in Kiev, where in our church, she has become a foster parent of 11 children. And she had just taken her first 3 children. They were 3 brothers. And they came to find out that the father of the 3 brothers was in prison in Tajikistan. So they took a Bible and all these materials and went and visited the father of the boys, and he eventually became a Christian and is in the prison studying his Bible and growing in the Lord. And so I just wanted to share these stories as ways that the glory of the Lord is over all the earth, even though it's not written in the news, but it is. And one day we will see it perfectly with our eyes. And I just want to thank you all for supporting them so richly. It was a huge help to them.
In the Bible, Genesis chapter 12, God is speaking to Abraham, and he is saying, I will bless you and through you I will bless all the people of the earth. And this is God's plan for the earth. Generation after generation, He is fulfilling this plan. He wants to bless people through Abraham, through other people who are blessed. So now we can see how God is really blessing Ukraine and how through Ukrainians He is blessing now other countries. And that's an amazing job what God is doing, mobilizing missionaries for serving from Ukraine. Well, before 90s, before communism fell apart, the time was very hard in Ukraine. It was just dark time spiritually. I was growing at the time when, can you imagine to grow and live at the time when you can't hear gospel from anyone? Literally, I never heard that there is a God that loves me. I never heard about Bible. I never saw live Christian, you know. Only after I was like 14 years old, communism fell apart, and then it took a couple years, and then in '94 I heard about God for the first time. But before, it was very dark time. Like one of my friends who was pastor at that time, he was telling about that time. He got on his, he was a preacher, pastor, and he was preaching from the only book from the Bible he had to preach, it's a handwritten book of Luke. Because, and the same situation was with other preachers. Because if they got any like Bible, what they were doing, Christians, they were tearing it apart on sections and giving to some faithful people and just telling them, read for a week and then pass it on to other faithful people. So if you have some part of the Bible for a week, you just want to write down whatever you can. So he just wrote down his book of Luke, and that's all what he was to preach from. And then can you imagine on one of his birthdays, somehow brothers got for him new Bible with colored pages, with illustrations, references, and he was so amazed. He was just praying with tears. He just lifted that Bible in front of God, and he was saying, God, I am asking you that will be time in Ukraine that anyone will be able to go to the store and buy this Bible. And you know what? It was so hard time to believe that that's what ever can happen. So another brother came to him after his prayer, and he said, Misha, I know you're a great man of faith, and God is Almighty God, but we both understand that this is never going to happen in our country. So please don't pray like that anymore. Well, so I want to ask you, is anybody here in this room who was praying that communism would fall apart? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see some hands. That Russia would be not as atheistic as it is, that Bible would be free at that countries. Well, I want to thank you very much that you were praying for that. Because it was very hard even for Christians in that country to be able to believe that this is possible. So they were just praying more, God, help us to be faithful. But to dare to pray, God, please make communism fall apart, that was just like really mature prayer would be, you know. So thank you, and it's amazing how God is taking Christians from other parts of the earth to participate in the gospel, to pray. Well, communism fell apart. God started to bless after 90s with many blessings, and now and we were receiving a lot. And now God is mobilizing us to go outside of Ukraine because situation around Ukrainian countries is not as good as in Ukraine. In Stan countries, they don't have that freedom like Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. I'm managing printing in that countries, and it's limited. And we have different ways of doing that. For Tajikistan, we're printing with like no logos version, like Bibles, but without Samaritan Spurs logo, because we don't want government to see that shoeboxes and Christian literature is the same project. And there are other ways in other countries. In Azerbaijan, it's not easy to get copyrights to print that. And there are also underground printing there is going. Right now I'm working on copyrights to get to print in Azeri language. We have a program there going in Farsi language also. Albania is another country where I was managing printing this year, and we have this project going on there. And there is a Pastor Claude who was trying to reach some villages around their country, around their town. And he said, up in the mountains, it was one village that is like 100% Muslim village. And he said, we tried different ways to get there with the gospel, but it just was closed. And then he just said, recently we just got there and we just thought, let's try to use Samaritan Spurs shoeboxes. So they got that shoeboxes and went there to the school principal and asked him, can we share these shoeboxes, these presents with your children? And he just said, yeah, sure, we allow presents. But please say nothing about Christ or Bible or your religion. We don't want to know about that. So then Pastor Claude, he just asked, okay, but I'm not going to lie them about Santa Claus. So the principal, he just said, you can tell them that this is from God, but don't tell anything else. So this is the Muslim village, 100% Muslim village, Muslim children, and they came to that school. In the gym, they gathered all the school teachers, principal, they're observing this event. They brought a bunch of shoe boxes, and they started to share them with the children. And as they were given, well, one of the principle of Samaritan Spurs to share God's love in tangible way. So the shoe box is like way how child can feel that somebody cares about them. So they were given that shoe boxes and telling children, God loves you. God remembers about you. God knows you. God cares about you. You are special to God. But they can't go any farther, you know. But that's how far they were able to go. And then at the end of that event, they were about to leave, and then one child just asked, hey, guys, but how can God come and give us these presents because we didn't see him? Where is he? And then it was like silence. You can feel how pin dropping. And the Pastor Clay, he just looked at the school principal and he asked, would you like to address that question? And he just looked back and he just says, no, but you can tell them everything. And then they started to share the gospel. So door became open. It's amazing what God is doing through simple gifts. So I want to encourage you to keep participating in ministries like that, in worldwide projects where people are trying to reach different ethnic groups. And thank you for your prayers for us, for your participation. Here is our prayer requests. We would like to leave with you. Back there are our prayer cards. Please take, and if you will, if you still have empty place on your fridge room for our prayer card, somebody developed the fridges with a specific option available for prayer cards. There are plenty of space. So please let it be used according to the purpose, your fridge. Every time when you will open it, you will be able to remember about us and pray. Okay, right now we have these prayer needs. We would like to buy new used van, a new 5 years old van. We need for that $20,000, and we have already like $3,000. So please pray for that. And we are looking for more partners to do more ministry in Ukraine. So God will be open your heart. Please pray for that. Also at the back there is a paper. If you would like to keep updated on what God is doing in that countries through our ministry, please write your email there, and we will add you to our praying list, so you will be receiving our emails. Well, thank you very much. We really enjoyed being with you tonight. And if you have any questions, I think we have a couple minutes for that. Yes?
What is the main religion in your country of Ukraine? Is it Christian, and how does the government, are they very strict with the religion, or is it fairly open country?
This is Orthodox Christianity religion, but they're like nominal Christians. And the government, since 2014, took a direction to Protestantism. When that conflict with Russia happened, and Russia is a very Orthodox country, so Ukraine kind of feeling like we would better think about Protestantism. So it was a lot of events in that direction going. So Ukraine is really open. But it all depends on the priests, Orthodox priests, how they feel about other religions. Like in one church, Orthodox priest, he's just saying, somebody is just asking, what do you think about these Baptists? And he just says, if you would like to know about, if you would like to know God, personally, you should go there. But if you want just to keep your traditions, then you just need to come to our church. And, I mean, just some priests are saying like that. Others just more aggressive. They say, don't go there because I will not bury you. Like they are just threatening people. And it's important for people who will bury you. Okay, thank you for the question. Any more questions? Yeah, the conflict is going still on the east part of Ukraine. But we get used to that because it's like nobody's planning to win or like finish it. So we just get used to that. But on the east of Ukraine, they still kind of shooting on the schedule, you know, at 4 p.m. they will start shooting for 30 minutes. So you go to your basement and waiting, and then you going up and going to your work or whatever. It's just crazy there.
How many Christians are there in your country?
Oh, okay, this is a lot of Christians. Statistically, it's like about 10%. So we are a really blessed country compared to other Soviet Union countries, so that's why I'm talking about mobilizing and sending missionaries outside of Ukraine. So if we have 48 millions, how much is 10%? I don't know, 5 millions? Yeah. Okay. What was that?
Do you ever anticipate the Ukrainian government trying to
Well, actually, we just had this 500th anniversary Reformation, where government made laws that you can go to the schools and talk about Protestantism. So they're even kind of helping, which is kind of against Orthodox. Priests, they didn't really like that. But you can go and you just say, based on that law, I want to teach. Can I teach? And they say, okay, you can teach. Tell. Okay, good questions. Thank you. Do we have more questions? One more question, maybe? All right. Oh, missionaries from Ukraine? Well, first of all, especially on the short-term mission trips, usually they go to the former Soviet Union countries because Russian language is already in that countries. Like Bogdan and Marika, they went to Tajikistan, which is Muslim country, but they speak Russian. And Ukrainians, they speak Russian because we used to be all one huge Soviet Union. So first of all, they go to that countries, but they're not limited to that. They go to Taiwan, they go to Mongolia, they go to different countries. Central Asia, South Asia, they go to Africa. Some of them, they go to Africa. Egypt, yeah, India. Yeah, they want to go everywhere. They you can't stop them.
Are there any countries they cannot go to?
Actually, former Soviet Union countries, you don't need any documents even done. I mean, your regular passport, that's what you need. European countries, you just need Ukrainian foreign passport, and that's enough. They don't need visa. They just need visa for a couple countries, but not a lot. They have for countries with limited access to the gospel, it's not hard for them to get documents done.
Did you have a hard time getting here?
I had some, this time. I never had that before, but this time that was kind of unusual. I think because of these political issues going on. But yeah, I was refused visa twice, 2 times. Yeah, and then third time they gave me. After everybody prayed. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being with you. And I think we will stand there next to our table after service. So if somebody will have more questions, we can speak more. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, church.
Let me just add a couple of things that they're a little hesitant to say about. When Ann and Vitaly started in Ukraine at their church, the only people that they reached out to, essentially, was young folks. And so they started a young folks ministry. And guess what happens with young folks? They grow up. And so therefore, they had a wave of kids that got married. And then another wave of kids that got married. And then they had a wave of children that were born. And so as you look at the church, it's a very young church. There's a few old folks there, of course, from years ago. But it's a very, very young church. So they have wonderful opportunities. And did you understand what he's saying about their missions? It's almost impossible for an American to go to a country like one of the Stan countries, Tajikistan or whatever. A Ukrainian just picks up and goes. So if you're looking for a way to get the gospel into those countries, you support a Ukrainian missionary, just like what we did. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you here at our church in the little old valley, Sequatchie Valley, to send missionaries out into those closed Russian countries. Wonderful opportunity we have through this mission and through what Samaritan Purse does and so forth. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Okay, Pastor, it's all yours.